Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Bulletproof for BJJ podcast. Why is J-Rod training in the gi? Famous for being a purely no-gi guy, this phenom, this ADCC silver medalist says that training in the gi is important. We unpack why. Also, why is this a message for things to come? Why is this a fortuitous telling of the change in Jiu Jitsu culture? Is the gi making a comeback? We discuss why high-level competitors are interested in training in the gi. And then Joey, in an unusual way, shape, and form, pushes back to give a counterpoint as to why this may not be the case. Let's get into it now. Also, while you're there, we know you're watching, we know you're commenting, we love it all. And what we would also love is a like and a subscribe. It helps us out a lot, and it will help us deliver more good info like this to good folks like yourself. Thank you. Why is J-Rod training in the gi? Is the gi making a comeback? I actually made this call, I think 6 months ago, maybe more, that the gi inevitably would make a comeback. And when you have an ADCC silver medalist, someone who's specialized in no-gi training for the majority of their career, talking about why the gi is important, I think it's a sign.
I was surprised to see him in the gi.
Yeah.
And he'd been training with Tainan Dalpra, right?
Yeah, over at
Which is so cool.
Oh, it's wild.
Because he was originally pretty disrespectful to Tainan when he was like, what did he say? He's like, I heard there's some gi guy that's come over to no gi, Tainan Dalpra or something. Anyway, I'll that guy, you know.
Yeah.
And then Tainan beat him, right? I think Tainan edged him out on points.
This might be the case.
I think. But in any case, yeah, it's great. He's training in the gi. But has he said that he thinks the gi is important?
He has said this, and this is why this is what I would say. We know the popularity of no-gi jiu-jitsu because the shit is exciting, right? We all know, we can talk how good no-gi is all day. That's not what I want to talk about. What J-Rod has said openly, he's posted about it, he's also said it on camera, is you cannot call yourself the greatest if you cannot win in both.
Right.
He's young. Not only does he want to be the best at no-gi jiu-jitsu, I think, you know, at his age to be an ADCC silver medalist, amazing, right? And he could very well go on to win it and do whatever else. But he believes for him in his career to be considered the GOAT, the greatest, which is his aspiration, he must win a world championship in the gi.
Right.
Or multiple times in the gi. And this is the analogy I would draw. We are seeing more and more, like the other week, Victor Hugo classically came up as a gi guy. Now, obviously won in no gi and has subsequently beaten someone who is more the pure no gi guy, right? In Nicky Rod.
Yeah.
That gi folks are doing great in no gi.
Yeah.
Right? And here's the thing, the analogy, this is a very crude analogy, but stay with me. Stay with me. If you can drive a manual car, you can also drive an automatic. Now, the complexity of gi jiu-jitsu to no gi is not that simple. But if you only learnt how to drive an auto, you can't just get that clutch and you're just like, oh,
yeah, you can't necessarily jump into a manual.
You can't just jump across like that. And I'm not saying it's that simple, but the analogy, the reason why I bring that is the skill set that you develop, whether it be more of a judo base or whatever it might be, training many, many years in the gi, it is, I believe, an easier transition to come over to no gi and then change your skill set up. I believe that. And honestly, when you get exciting guys like J-Rod, he's very, very famous for jumping on people's backs, choking people, just getting after it. When you get more exciting people putting the gi on, exciting shit happens.
Yeah.
Like Jansen Gomez, when he beat Tainan Dalpra, he was just getting after it. He wasn't stalling for points. He was trying to win that match. And I believe the more people that we see who are great competitors, have an exciting flair and a style of game, going to the gi's coming back. That's how I feel about it. That's what I'm predicting. I mean, I did say it a while ago, but I think this is a very strong message coming from J-Rod. What's your take on this, Joe? Can the gi make a comeback?
I can't. Yeah, I still can't.
You struggle.
Yeah, I just struggle because I'm like, yeah, like those guys, right? Micah,
Yeah.
J-Rod, Tainan, like these young generation grapplers are so exciting, right?
Yeah.
And and they'll be amazing to watch, gi or no gi.
Sure.
But I just can't separate the fact that the gi still lends itself to a game that is less spectator friendly. So while I see that for some of those guys who have those aspirations, I still don't think it'll be a viable enough pursuit for people like you. I just want to be I just want to put on performances and go to ADCC and do that thing, you know?
Sure, but what I would say is when you have a look at these super fights, which is where people are generating, money and earnings from their matches, they're not really making money from tournaments per se.
No.
If you got a super fight, there's super fights in the gi as well. They'll do strictly no gi, but then they'll put on gi matches as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think
that's when the crowd goes to get drinks.
It's rough. Potentially. It
you guys
depends on
want
who it is.
Who wants assay? All right, 10 assays.
No,
We'll come with you, man. I hope you carry them. Yeah, I'm going to go to the toilet again.
Depends who it is. Depends who it is. But here's the thing. You can tweak the rule set on gi. Like you could change the rule set so that the people couldn't stall. It's been discussed many times. The IBJJF rule set as it stands does lend itself to a degree of stalling, winning by advantages, etc. But if you were to bring no advantages, submission only, penalties for stalling type game, I think the gi can still be amazing.
Yeah, it could definitely be improved. But the big dilemma for it is that the gi just often makes it hard to see what's going on. Two people covered in fabric, if they're both wearing the same color, even worse. And you're just like, I'm not sure where the grips are. I can't see whereas in no gi, you're like, oh, I can see the pressure.
Sure.
I can see the mechanics.
Well, I think I don't entirely agree. Judo, huge. Judo is actually way more people doing judo than doing jiu-jitsu around the world. Massive, massive sport. They make one person wear blue, one person wear white.
But judo's just the exciting bit.
It's just the bam.
Like, sure, they got a little bit of groundwork sometimes, but
you do see submissions.
But judo's like the Olympic lifting of jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it can also be boring if you get two guys who don't throw each other and they're just
can be. But I would argue if you were like searching highlights, you'd find more more judo highlights than you would like jiu-jitsu gi highlights.
Yeah, because it's like a dunk contest. It's
sick.
Boom.
Yeah.
It's not a game. It's the dunk contest.
Yeah.
It's like
that's a good way to put it.
You know what I mean? Like
totally.
And that is why judo is exciting. But what I'm saying is to see what's going on. Like I just want you guys to throw back. You guys may not remember this match between Canuto and Lucas Lepre a bunch of years ago
in the gi,
bro. It was wild times.
I mean, it's Canuto.
But Lucas Lepre does like a cartwheel, like. Canuto goes to throw Lucas as he's passing. Lucas doesn't change his grips, basically does almost like a no-hands cartwheel, lands, and then continues to pass. And you're like, what the just happened? It's amazing, right?
But you know why that felt so special? Was because you'd been sitting in a desert of entertainment for the whole day. Everyone's like this, half asleep.
No.
And then someone does a cartwheel pass. It's like, what? Did you see that?
It wasn't a cartwheel pass.
He almost passed by jumping in the air.
No, it was a throw. Like Canuto was executing the throw. He didn't put his hands down. He just went, I'm going to do a flip. You're like, what? How the f can you do that? Like, that's not something that you necessarily...
I get it, but Gary Tonin does that every half a second in a no-gi match.
Nah, it's Gary Tonin. Like, possibly one of the most exciting grapplers in the history of the game. But, also, Gary's had matches which were not as interesting. Oh, you know what I love? I love big energy. I love big energy from my most reliable powder. That powder is Sodi. Sodi is today's sponsor. They give us the best blend of sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Now, it's been said before, I'm a salty fella. And it's not just because of my attitude. It's because I stay hydrated, and that gives me big energy. So when I'm on the mats, I make sure that I have a bottle with Sodi in there. Now you can get this kind of energy so you can perform on the mats by going to sodi.com.au. Use the code Bulletproof15. You get 15% off, and you can get that good powder today. Shoo.
Speaking, I think I saw a clip of Gary having doing around with Dorian Olivares before.
Oh, true.
Yeah, and I
Whoa.
mean Gary's sort of off the peak of his career, obviously.
Sure.
But it was some fast-paced shit.
Man,
I'm pretty sure that's what I watched.
When you look at some of the best, craziest grappling of all time, whether it's takedowns, highlights, you know, Gary Tonin is up there. He would have 5 of your top 10 highlights of like flying scissors takedown to heel hook, you know, like just crazy back takes.
He is your mum's favorite grappler.
Locks. He is. And he also kissed me in the bathroom
That's right.
after ADCC. I had to wash my mouth out repeatedly after that. But I love you, Gary. Not like that. Here's the thing.
I want it to happen.
I see it happening because the gi still matters to people who want to be the best. Because when we talk about, like John Danaher has said this, that he believes, he didn't say his own student, he didn't say Gordon Ryan's the greatest of all time. He said Hodger Gracie is the greatest of all time because he classifies Hodger as doing, you know, won the ADCC multiple times, no gi champion. He didn't do as well in his MMA career as maybe people expected, but he won across grappling's different spheres, right? And it's difficult to say if you are only good at one element, and there's folks who've won multiple titles across all the different spheres of grappling. You know what I mean? I think that's where the question of high-level guys, exciting guys wanting to do the gi is because they want to be known as the GOAT.
Yeah, I hear. I think, you know, this is going to be a somewhat negative take on the.
Please,
you know,
go there, Joe.
Right. So you're seeing J-Rod, and you're like, this is an omen that there's a return, right?
Well,
like we come from an older generation, right?
Sure.
Where it's like, yeah, you got to be good at both, right? Where you're like, that's what jiu-jitsu is. It's gi and no gi. Now you got this younger generation, guys like J-Rod, who, let's say a year ago or 2 years ago, before he was with the gi, J-Rod's like, fuck the gi.
Yes.
I'm trying, right? And this is the prevailing sort of culture, right? It's like, you got no gi gyms where they're like, fuck the gi, man, we're just interested in this. But because they're not that separated from the older culture, they get to this point where they're really good and then they're like, oh yeah, but actually to be the absolute best, you still got to be all right at the gi. So they've kind of still got a foot in both camps, even though their body is committed to no gi, right?
Sure.
I think it's just the timeline. The next generation after Nicky Rod are just going to be like, what's a gi?
No,
like I think it's just moving further away.
I don't think that's true. I think you can go just based off pure numbers, like tournament numbers. There's more people training in the gi than not.
No, but that's a different discussion.
No.
It's different because that's the sport of jiu-jitsu, which is different to the jiu-jitsu league that we love watching.
No, I don't think it's different at all. I think the sport of jiu-jitsu encompasses those people because they're the elite of the sport. But the culture doesn't live without everyone doing it. It's like saying religion is a book. It's not. It's the people following it. Otherwise, it's just a book. Now, don't crucify me on that, my fellow religious followers, friends.
No, that was for the religious people.
No. But what I'm saying is, like, you don't have this art without the people.
I know.
And if you look at a younger generation and they're looking at, oh, J-Rod's my favorite grappler. He's so exciting. And then, oh, he's doing gi now. Oh, I want to do gi now. Like Gordon Ryan, stay with me now. I like do some random shit. He was the Conor McGregor of no-gi jiu-jitsu. The amount of just armchair and MMA fans who just got into it because of Conor McGregor, like, you know, he grew the sport immensely, right? Because of his showmanship, because of everything, right? Who he is as a person to the side. Him as a fighter, his ability to talk shit.
Enough said.
Right.
Make your point.
Gordon Ryan, same. Outspoken, big personality, big
body. You might say cocksucker.
but beating everyone, undeniably at that time, like undefeated, beating everybody. People are like, oh, I had people who were armchair kind of MMA fans going, what's with that real big jack guy in jiu-jitsu? Like, is he that good? I'm like, I hate to admit it, but yes, he is that good. The amount of people who go, oh, I want to be like Gordon Ryan, right? And that inspires them to do jiu-jitsu. Well, if you've got people looking up to people like the Rotolo brothers or whoever who came up not just doing no-gi, but doing gi for a long time, and they are advocates for both, then that means the younger generation still does it. So that is my counterpoint to your counterpoint.
Yeah, so I think it definitely holds weight, but I think at the end of the day, and this is to what you said initially about like the sport and the elite of the sport, and it's more than, and I totally agree with that. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people will train gi jiu-jitsu, but most people won't care to watch it as a spectator, as an enjoyer of sports, because it is kind of boring.
I think that is context dependent. I think that's what we've known in the past, and I think we can see an evolution of gi jiu-jitsu with more exciting grapplers doing more exciting shit in the gi.
I mean, I love the optimism. Like I've said it before, and I wish it to be the case.
Oh, there it is.
Very good. Good chat.
That's the pod. Now, thank you for making it this far, indulging us in our musings. And if you've made it this far, you are obviously a tenacious, tough human, which you need to be good at jiu-jitsu. But there's one more thing that you need to be good at jiu-jitsu. It's being kind, understanding, considerate, sharing, loving. And you're going to show your love by hitting like and also hitting subscribe. It helps us help more good folks like you. We appreciate it.